Hey everybody, welcome back to Cold Hard Feelings. So I wanted to actually just say thanks to start off with this. I just want to say thanks to everybody that's been listening so far. This is now episode 4, and the first 3 episodes have just been kind of trying to figure out what exactly it is that I'm doing, what the message is, who the audience is, who am I talking to, and I've gotten some good feedback. I like the feedback that I've gotten. I'm going to continue to work to make things better. And there's really nowhere else but up from here. So I'm going to get right into it. I want to shout out to the first 2 subscribers that I've had ever, actually, on anything. And I just want to say thanks to everybody that has given both good and bad feedback because, I need both of them to grow. The bad feedback more than the good feedback, but I do appreciate anything that I hear back at all. So one of the things that I'll always, I guess, ask for is a comment, subscribe. I'm going to eventually try to grow more, but not until I get the rest of this stuff figured out. So today's topic is going to be something very, very home to me. It's going to be something that I'm very accustomed to. And I think it's something that a lot of people deal with. Some are really good at it, some are really bad at it. And that is patience. Patience is tough. Patience is hard. Patience is nowhere near easy. It's a skill. It's not something that you just get overnight. You have to practice it like anything else. And some people say, well, hey, how do you practice patience? How do you just do patience? How does patience happen? How do you gain patience? Because it's crazy. Everybody's got patience. And really, people only lose patience. They don't gain patience, especially over time. As you get older, you lose patience instead of gain it. And I think that has a lot to say about the world, just that we live in as a whole. But the crazy part about that is that if you build up enough patience, you have a lot to pull from, right? I mean, it's like money. If you make $1 trillion, then you have $1 trillion to live off of until you don't, right? But patience is important. Patience is a word I'm going to try to not use too often. What it truly is, though, is the willingness to accept any situation. Now, there are a lot of things that go into that. I'm going to be honest. One of them is time, perseverance, discipline. You need all of these things because they all boil together to make patience. A person who is struggling with mental battles, who can't decide between what they should or shouldn't do or what their next move should be. Patience looks like taking a few steps back and looking at the situation as a whole and looking for the baby steps in it. In another situation, in a romantic relationship, let's just say, where one of the parties or both parties are trying to decide what their future looks like, or if there's even a future at all. And patience in this scenario looks like looking at all of the pros and cons, weighing them, and deciding if the pros are enough to stick around and if the cons are light enough to work through. And by light, I don't mean, we'll get onto that in another topic, in another conversation, in another episode. But there are pros and cons. And if you can weigh them and decide that both of them are something that can be worked through, then that's great. But you need patience. If you decide haphazardly to say, the pros are awesome, I'm going to stick to them, but then your cons are huge. Or you say, oh man, the cons are just too big, we can't get past them. But really, all you need is just a little bit of time and patience. Then that might be a decision that's just too hasty. Patience is a skill, and it's something that you can learn. And I am actually going to tell you, all of you, how I do it. As I mentioned already, patience is the willingness to accept any situation. It doesn't mean lay down and give up. It doesn't mean say yes to everything. What it means is to take something that's going on in your life and say, you know what? This has happened. There's nothing I can do about it. The only thing that I can change is what I'm going to do going forward. Because nobody can change what happened 5 minutes ago, but you can change what happens 5 minutes from now. And, there's the discussion of fate and all of that other stuff. There are things in the world that could or could not be inevitable, but it's all going to be a matter of perception. You can change how you view what's going to happen in 5 minutes. Say it's your last day at work. And when I say your last day, I mean, say you're going to be let go from a job, right? You're going into work like you normally do, but then you get there and then you get called into the boss's office. They're ready to tell you this is your last day here, employed at this company. You can go there, be laid off, and just do the worst, right? You can do the worst, you can feel the worst, you can act the worst, but why? What is the point? You can't change the fact that you've been let go. You can't beg, you can't plead, you can't cry. What you can do is say thanks for the opportunity. There's nothing more to be said, so you just get up and walk away. Now, a lot of people, I think, which is weird, a lot of people think that there's a necessity to hear the party out when they've been let go. It's just like in a relationship when it's over and the two are breaking up. If someone is breaking up with you, that's a decision that was made probably not right then and there. It's been something that's been in the works for a while. So what is the point of sitting down and hearing them out for all of the reasons that they're letting you go? Well, there's two sides to that. One is there is no point. They made the decision, so you might as well just get up and go. But sometimes they might actually have reasons as to why they let you go, and you can take that, build and reflect on it, and use that into the next job that you go forward into. Patience comes in a lot of forms, and that is dealing with the scenario at hand. Whether it's someone who's really annoying. At the end of the day, if someone is really truly bothering you and truly annoying to you, you have the option of not paying them really any mind. If you have to wait for something, you can't wait any faster. You can't make something happen any faster. What you can do is change and control what you do in the meantime while you're waiting. Patience is the willingness to accept any given situation. I remember a time where I had to sit down. I was a kid, and I think this was actually pre-high school. I was sat down and told to look at the clock, watch the clock, mind you, for an hour. I don't know if anyone really knows what it's like to watch time go by, especially when there's just nothing else going on other than the sound of your own thoughts. I would encourage any of my listeners to sit down, set a timer for 1 hour, and watch it. And if you make it through the whole timer, I would love to hear comments about what happened during that timer. Whether it was you had to get up and go to the bathroom, whether you just went crazy and said, I'm not doing this, whether you even started it. I also want to hear about how you felt. What went through your mind? Were you able to stay on track? Were you able to stay on topic with whatever you were thinking about? That's going to be my little challenge to you guys. But patience isn't always just about waiting for something to happen or waiting for something to go down. Patience is also an internalization. If you're getting yelled at work, right? Somebody comes up to you and they just start hammering you with their voice, thankfully. They just start going off about everything you're doing wrong, everything that you could have been doing, everything that you are doing, everything you're gonna do. And you just kind of sit there and you just listen. I know there are people out there like that. I'm one of them. As that's going on, the best thing that you can do is, again, weigh the pros and cons. Take everything they're saying into account. Is what they're saying even valid? You don't have to lash out. You don't have to respond. You don't have to get up. Hear them out, because nobody can just talk forever. Maybe. Anyways, hear them out. Why not? Listen to what they have to say. Is anything that they have to say worthwhile? If not, file it. File it in your mental capacity. File it in your brain. If it just goes on and on and on, just in one ear out the other. Do something else. Patience is the willingness to accept that situation. Yes, you could always just tell them to shut up and leave you alone. I don't know usually how well that works. I don't know how many people have tried that with their bosses. I, for one, haven't. So, again, leave a comment if you have, and how did that turn out for you? But the funniest part about internalization is what you do with it. The hard part about internalization is storing it. How many times have you listened to somebody rambling on and said, you know what? Great conversation. I'm going to remember all the key points, jot them down, and then we can continue the discussion later. Probably not that many, right? But that is part of patience, believe it or not. Part of patience is being able to listen to everything that someone says, take some mental notes, and respond. In kind, of course. If someone is yelling at you, you don't have to yell back, although I'm not saying that you can. It's always funny when I hear, you're such a patient person. I don't know how you have that level of patience. And I'll be sitting there just like, what? I don't even envision myself as a very patient person, but that's because it's something that's been instilled in me for a very, very long time, to the point where it's like second nature. Nobody has to explode the second they interact with something that they don't like or understand. Give yourself time to diffuse. Give yourself time to melt. Give yourself time to explore other options. When you walk into the store to buy something, don't buy everything that your eyes are laid on. Think about what you need to buy and stick to it. Patience has a lot of forms. I mean, a lot of forms. Currently in my life, I am dealing with a lot of things that require a lot of patience on multiple different ends. And that patience has to be fortified with understanding, because in order to be patient with it, I have to understand all sides and all parties and where everyone's coming from. Otherwise, it becomes extremely difficult to be patient. To be in a heated argument and not get heated and not argue is very, very difficult sometimes. But again, with a lot of practice, anyone can do it. I would love to help people with different scenarios that are going on in their lives, because there are a multitude of different things that can happen on the planet, right? And one of the whole reasons that I wanted to start this podcast was because I wanted to help people that may or may not have anyone else that they can talk to. Thanks for listening, everybody. That's going to be the end of this episode on Cold Hard Feelings. If you agree or disagree, leave a comment, leave a like or a dislike, you know. And stay tuned for the next episode. Next thing I want to talk about is the truth.